This is the Nathan, Nat and Shaun podcast.
The voice of F1 is heading back to Perth. David Croft himself. Good morning to you, Crofty.
And a very good morning to you. How are my three favourite people in Perth this morning?
Oh, we're wonderful. It's good to be your favourite, but you actually haven't come in ever. So we're hoping that one stage when you come to Perth, you'll be able to pop in for a face-to-face.
Crofty, when you are here...
Well, I can do that.
You're playing the Regal Theatre.
This time.
Yeah, it's across the road.
I literally have to walk 10 yards as long as the little green man says I can cross the road. Otherwise, the local police will get uptight with me. I just 10 yards and I'm there. So
I tell you what,
if you put the kettle on, I'm coming in.
Hey, Crofty, it's always good to have you out here. Isn't it amazing you can travel any part of the globe and the F1 scene is so strong, the people are so passionate?
It is incredible, and it's lovely for me because not only do I get to commentate for Sky Sports in the UK, but so many different countries take our commentary. So wherever I go, I'm pretty much meeting people that listen on a Sunday or a Saturday or even a Monday morning, as you guys probably find out, to what we do, and it's mega. And there used to be a time I could sit and sip on a cappuccino in Perth. No one would have a clue who I was. Those days are long gone, even before I started these shows. And it's the same. Formula One has never been more popular than it is now. And that is so lovely. As we approach our 75th year, 75 years of Formula One, which is quite an anniversary to celebrate for 2025.
Yeah. Crofty, do you reckon that Drive to Survive has driven like a whole new audience for F1 that just wasn't there before?
I think the beauty of Drive to Survive, and I love Drive to Survive, trust me, is that we used to serve up the live sport and hope that people stayed around for the soap opera. Formula One's always had a soap opera. You know, it is so much better than Neighbours, trust me. And Harold doesn't come back after 25 years. Does anyone still watch Neighbours? I don't know.
I don't think Australians do. You do. It's your fault it's still on.
Yeah, listen, I'm just starting season 11 of MAVSA, so don't get me stuck onto all that stuff again.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, obviously, with Lewis Hamilton moving over to Ferrari. We saw that, obviously, Red Bull are always going to be strong, but it was McLaren who were right on the heels with Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris, and I want to ask you about those two in particular. When we used to follow our Aussies, when Daniel Ricciardo was going particularly well, Mark Webber, when they were driving for Red Bull in particular, they always seemed to be the second man in that combination. Is Oscar Piastri going to just be the second seat in that McLaren team and therefore not a real chance to win that world title?
Not intentionally and not by any design that McLaren have on Oscar's role within the team. But I think what Oscar needs to do in what is now his third season, he's got the pole, he's got the win, he's got podiums, but he needs to be consistently better than Lando in qualifying to, I think, give himself a bit more confidence and B, confidence to the team that he is a genuine title contender. And there's no reason to suggest that that can't happen.
Hey, Crofty, speaking of these guys, right, you look at Formula One a lot of the times, and the best teams who are running up and going at the time with the best car, engineers, so forth, are the ones who win. Who, in your mind, is the best driver?
Regardless of what they're driving.
You know, Max... Is it someone else that we don't know of that's just been driving a car that's been underneath and you just think they're just a wonderful driver?
No, it's a really good question because whilst we concentrate on the stars, there is no doubting the car is 95% of your success for that season. The extra 5% comes, from the person behind the wheel. I think Max Verstappen is the best driver at the moment, and we saw that at the back end of last year where he was getting performances out of that Red Bull that the car wasn't necessarily able to do at the hands of a mere mortal. Sergio Perez, for instance, he was struggling. Max wasn't. I think Lando Norris is fast adapting to the pressures of Formula One with a smile on his face. And he says that he'll be better for last year's experience when he comes back this year. Lewis Hamilton, I think, is the greatest driver of all time. Okay. But is he getting on a little bit? Is he, now he's 40, just a bit too old to not have any mistakes?
He actually have to go for his license every year now.
Yeah. Nathan, Nat and Shaun podcast.
Yesterday I went over to Roto and did a skydive over the Great Island.
Now, you were supposed to do it before and it got cancelled?
Yeah, it got cancelled last week. So in September, I was just with a couple of guys. We're having lunch, and one of them said, we'll watch. We were over Rotto. We're watching people skydiving. You're like, that'd be amazing. Yep. And this guy was like, a friend of ours, he said, I'm going to do that. And another mate of mine said he would do it as well, but he's not that type of person that would actually do it.
Mm. Yep.
And
do you have to wait? Where did they do it from?
Down into the beach.
No, where did they come from?
Oh, you just go from the airstrip.
Nest.
Okay. Oh, right. I was going to say, because you get dropped to Rottnest, it's like, where's my car?
No.
And then take a ferry back and then drive catch an Uber to the hills.
The airport at Rotto's hilarious.
Take off from Rotto. Okay,
there's a couple of helicopters always there and a few planes. You can enjoy joy flights for $65.
And is there a command centre at the airport or anything? Like a little...
No, that would come from the airport.
So it's just like a landing strip?
Yeah.
I never knew Rottnest had a landing strip.
It got underway in like 1947. I was reading the side of the wall.
Okay, history.
Yeah. And it's the shortest... It was the shortest commercial route in the world. Yeah, 19 kilometres.
Perth to is Jandakot or Perth? It'd be Jandakot, wouldn't it?
It would have been Jandakot, yeah.
Hilarious.
Anyway, so we went along to do it. It was one of those occasions where I was a bit nervous about it. The last time, and I know you guys probably feel the same, the first time I've ever done it, I didn't really have a great time when I jumped out of a plane.
I liked doing it, and I thought it was fun, but the guy that I was strapped to said he'd done it like nearly 1,000 times, and that you're always chasing the feeling of the first. And I went, okay, well, I don't need to do it again then. Why don't we just keep there?
For me, I did know. I thought whenever I would do something like that, I think I could die now. And you do. You have to you have to realise that.
While you're free falling, you are plummeting towards the earth.
Yeah.
Like you're
anything like that. So anything extreme, you could die. So I knew that. But the one thing that I was shocked about, Sean, because I've always watched it and I've always seen the videos, and I can see people's cheeks rippling and stuff.
Jowls, yeah.
But no one explained how windy it is. It's so windy. Like it's like your head's out of the car on a turbojet engine.
Because you're at terminal velocity at this point.
Yeah. So we took off from the airport in Rotto, and off we go, and we're just doing laps and laps and laps. And there was one guy on board with us who was jumping out at 10,000 feet.
Oh, that's
and I wasn't aware of that at the time. So we went to 15,000 feet.
Yes.
Okay.
And anyway, all of a sudden,
was he in a rush? Was he?
Yeah. The inside the plane, there's three lights: green, amber, and then the red. And then it just started happening, and I was like, "Oh shit, we're about to jump!"
Yeah.
And my harness wasn't completely tight, so I started.
Oh yeah, right.
You're
like, hang on.
And he goes, "No, there's this guy going out." So then the roller door goes up. Next thing you know, this guy is out of the plane.
That's what happened on outs. There were two guys went out. Exactly. Roller door went up, and they just went see you and jumped out. And we're like, hang on, is there not some procedure to go check or something? I don't know.
Hey, how much quicker would the flying around the world be if that's how you had to go? If you had to stop over? Okay, Natalie, you ready?
With your hand like
your arms are by, go. You jump out of the plane.
And then it's like this suction just gets them, boom, out they're gone, and that's it. And the door goes down.
They disappear.
And we kept going and going and going, and up we go to the top. And eventually, obviously, it's my turn to come out. One after the other, bang, bang, bang.
Sorry to make this longer, but what's the difference? Why jump at 10,000? You're going at 15. Yep. What's the difference?
I asked this question. Why the hell would we want to go to 15,000 feet? Because the free fall's longer.
Okay, right. So that guy really, that guy that jumped at 10,000 feet just didn't want to have some more time up there. Yeah.
But I mean, he might have done it all. Like, do you know? Like,
so he might be practicing and tricks. I'm going to do tricks at 10,000.
And I said, why do I want to do free fall longer? I just want to get to the ground. Isn't that the aim of the whole thing?
Because once the chute does go off and then you're just drifting, it's delightful.
That's beautiful.
It's just like you can hear, like it's just like there's, you have
a conversation with the guy, and then you can hear them.
Yeah, you can hear the birds. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It goes from being you're plummeting to your death to tra-la-la-la-la. Like, it's like a fairy tale at that point. So why wouldn't you want more of that? And less of the dying.
I didn't think I had a choice, and I just got told that's what we're doing. I was like, okay, sure.
My favourite thing is when elderly people do it for their 100th birthday. You know what I mean? And so then they jumped out of there, and the wind gets your face.
They're all skinned.
And their face is above their head, and their skull's down the bottom.
I've got to say, Rottnest Island is the most picturesque thing I've ever seen in my life being up there. It is absolutely amazing. But before, and I had a great time, we landed safely, clearly, and it was all bloody brilliant. Before we got on, the instructor gets us into a room, and they start asking, so we've done this before. Yeah. And I say, I've done it like 20 odd years ago. I can't remember much about it. I'm not sure if I had a great time. And one of our friends he's done it a number of times. And they said, how did you enjoy it? Did you have any problems? And he did have a problem once when he jumped out of a plane, because what happens when you're up there and you're strapped to your person in a lot of respects? The thing is, when you get to the edge of the plane and the door's open, you've got to tuck your legs behind
under the body of the plane, yes. Which
kind of doesn't
tilts you forward.
Yeah. And so then you've got to really pull your arch back and put your head back before you fling out into the atmosphere.
And they go, look up, and that's just a trick because that's the point they're going to jump out.
And then you just jump out. And so he'd been up in the plane so long, like most people are, because you're trying to get to that altitude. He'd been sitting on his leg as it was, and he had a dead leg. So he's trying to jump out. He gets to the side of the plane trying to tuck his leg.
So and
he can't.
He
doesn't know where he stood.
Is he just dragging him?
Just dragging. Yeah, just dragging his leg, and he's trying to get to and they're trying to get him out the door, of course, and eventually, obviously, because they get to the point where he just
essentially they're like,
but he couldn't feel his leg.
They're jumping with a dead weight.
It's so weird when your legs don't work. Because I used to go through a phase here of I was really enjoying scaring people, and who was it working at reception at the time? Was that Abby Jelmy? Maybe. Anyway, so someone was in reception, and I thought I'm going to scare them. But reception back in the day, was just reception, and you can see exactly who's coming and who's going. So she had gone to go to the toilet, and I took that as my opportunity to sneak into the prize cupboard. The prize cupboard was basically just like folding doors that had in front of it like a cabinet. So I had to crouch on top of the cabinet and. God, it took about 25 minutes.
So what you were waiting for was her to come back and then have to open the prize cupboard for somebody.
So I was probably in there for 25 minutes because she was on a break. So 25 minutes I'm in there in the same position, and then I was going to jump out and scare her. So then she opens up the door, and then I jump out and scare her, and she's like, and I go to land on my feet, and my legs like, and I literally just was on the ground. And I couldn't move them.
The old dead leg.
So
gotcha.
I scared her, and also I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, you had lost the use of your legs.
What's happening?
Mine's always my arms now.
Yeah, me too. Like I can remember being fast asleep, and then I woke up and I'm like, oh my God, there's something in the bed. There's something in the bed. And so I grabbed it and threw it out because I thought, oh, just get it out of here. And then it was back again in a moment, and I'm like, oh my God, what is it? And it was my arm. So I'm like literally picking up my hand and tossing it aside because that's how dead it was. Horrible.
I think this is a great idea.
Yeah.
13, 24,
dead arms,
10.
dead legs.
Dead legs, dead arms, dead anything else. Yeah. What on you fell asleep, and why was it a problem?
Yeah,
and how did it affect you? Yeah, what were you trying to do?
Someone is going to get a $300 voucher to spend at the Herdsman Market.
Oh, lovely.
That's fantastic. Spoil your loved one this Valentine's Day at the Herdsman Market. Why wouldn't you?
And, of course, everybody who gets on air with us is in the running for Nova's Cash or the Cars. And there's if you need an extra incentive.
Dead limbs and body parts that have gone numb. We want to know what happens.
Molly, hello.
Oh, my God. So I was in primary school. We were at one of those dreaded long assemblies sitting on our little carpet squares. And awful. And one of the boys in our class got a dead leg or dead foot. The assembly finished and he jumped up onto his foot and literally snapped it.
I was going to say a second ago because I've noticed I've got 1,000 pins and needles in there after your leg goes. It's like your knee doesn't work properly. It's like
it's because the nerve is being impaired. So it's not going to feed the muscles properly, and it's not sending information.
So it doesn't do the thing that you need it to do. So that's what happened. He's wow. Could you hear it?
No, you could see it. It was an obvious break. And
Molly.
We all lived in immense fear after those assemblies. We would stretch our legs out and get our blood moving again before we'd get up.
How paranoid we all are when we found out about deep vein thrombosis. Everyone's got everyone's doing Pilates in the plane. The compression socks on.
We got those stockings. Yeah.
Amazing.
Molly, that's
proper trauma. Rowan's in Bullsbrook. Hello.
So I was watching my younger sister play at a country week basketball championships.
Yes.
And it was the final game, and I was sitting on the sideline on the ground with the legs crossed because there was no seats available.
Yep.
And then halfway through the game, the seat became available. So I was like, oh, sweet, I'll steal that seat. As I got up, I fell straight into the middle of the game and stopped the game for about a minute because I'd also sprained my ankle. I had to get medics to help me get off and everything.
So you're watching a game and you sprained your ankle like that?
Yes.
Yep. And then I become the centre of attention for the game, on the final game too.
I bet your sister was furious with you, Rowan. Furious.
She wasn't too happy. She was quite embarrassed because she's like, all my friends told me that was my brother and they were laughing at me. So, yeah.
Yep.
Rowan, I would have loved to have seen that.
Get up and face plant.
Were you embarrassed?
Oh, I kind of didn't know what was going on, to be honest, because it all happened so quickly.
More confused.
I kind of just fell over looked at the roof, and I just went, what happened?
Yeah.
And then all the women are going around go, that's what happens when you man spread too wide.
Yes, exactly. Thanks, Rowan. Natasha's in Armidale. Hello.
So it was actually coming up to about a year ago now. Me and my partner went ice skating at the Coburn Ice Skating Arena.
Yes.
For a cute little date night. You know,
Yeah.
I said to him when I was younger, I was really good at roller skating. I thought that the hobbies might translate. About 5 to 10 minutes into the ice, I took a pretty nasty tumble. My partner went, okay, well, let's leave.
Oh, wow. It was that bad that you should leave. Wow.
Well, you know, it was like, I was a bit broken up about it, quite embarrassed.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, I said I was good at this.
Well, sweetheart, this is where you went wrong, though, because roller skating, you know, the next transition from that, of course, is rollerblading. And that's where you get your ice skills from rollerblading.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We went home. Mind you, I drove home. I was like, it's fine. I'll get over it. I woke up the next morning and my left elbow and my left arm is quite numb.
Yeah.
I went to work until about 11:30 when my doctor's appointment was. They did an X-ray. Turns out I broke my elbow.
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt.
That sounds like something I would do.
But that's pretty exciting to have no pain, just numb, like to hurt yourself.
That suggests the nerve has been impacted. Yeah, Tash?
Well, yeah, I was 27. I'd never broken a bone before.
Oh, no.
So I was like, I was very unfamiliar with what the feeling could be like. Yeah, there was no pain. I was just worried that I'd have a cast on for when I went to Jonas Brothers last year.
Yeah, sure.
Oh.
That is a big consideration.
Jonas Brothers.
Nathan, Nat and Shaun in podcast form.
Special guest in the studio. So good to have him back again, Ross Noble.
I've got a problem with that song.
Yeah.
Because it's all like, come on. It's all like a big drinking thing.
Yeah.
And he uses the term tipsy. You know what I mean? It's like, where we go to a bar, we're going to get down the bar. Oh, line up the whiskey. Well, I'm just going to have enough to be tipsy.
Responsible service of alcohol.
It's just like everybody in the bucket and tips. You know what I mean? When do you ever hear somebody go, oh, I better stop now, I'm getting tipsy.
Well, maybe Nana after she got into the port.
She's had a couple of sherries.
Exactly. I haven't seen the musical video for that, but I don't. Is it a load
The
of
musical
Nana?
video is he's just sitting there just like singing and it's really cool just like bopping along dancing.
And then what? There's a bunch of nanas.
No, it's just a guy in the back sort of like agreeing with him. Yeah.
Right.
At the front, they seem to be out front of a pub or something like that.
Well, it would make sense.
I think maybe a barn.
If the musical video was it was a booze bus and
all the people getting pulled in.
And they would just pull up like that, and it was both a fun music video, but also an important lesson about the dangers of drink driving. And just some bloke there just going, I'm just a bit tipsy, and the cop just going, well, I'm sorry, but that is. And then the music stops, and it goes, you know, like on RBT.
Yes. And then it goes to the rest.
And then it flips into day drunk. It's amazing.
I tell you what, I thought this. I went past the booze bus the other day, and I thought, oh my God, because everything was stopped down, and you had the booze bus there, and I thought, what will you go perfectly with that? A food truck. Don't you reckon? A food truck should follow the booze bus around, because those people have not only got caught, they're starving.
Yes.
Oh, they should have one right after the, when you go to the drive-through bottle shop.
Yes.
I'm going to show you this, right? This is please don't read out my address.
No, I won't.
But I'm going to
your driver's license.
show you my driver's license, right? And when I see a booze, because I don't drink, right? I see a booze bus and I go, yes. Oh, yes. Because I know it's going to come up. You know, there's no way. I don't drink, so it's not going to.
You're not breaking the law.
It's not, And they go, sometimes where they go, oh, can we see your license, right? Yeah. And then I show them my license.
Are you allowed to take your license photo like that?
Describe that.
Okay, so I can't even.
First of all, we have to stand there and not
pulling
smile.
a face. His one eyebrow's up higher than the other. He's sort of looking down but trying to cross his eyes. It looks like he's been caught doing something with a sausage dog.
Look at what I've done with the hair.
And the hair is insane.
Yeah.
That gives.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of got a what do you call a ramp? It's a bit of Ace Ventura type of style, but with long hair.
So did you pull that face or go in with that face so they were too frightened to ask if that your face or not?
They said, so what happened was they got the picture.
I mean, it is your face.
I know, but like you'd have to, because I thought they'd say no, you can't pull a facial expression. You'd have to go in like this.
Well, no, they got the camera out.
Yeah. Amy's having a good old laugh.
Have you shown that on your socials?
No, because I don't want anyone to see my address.
No, but you can just there's a crop bit on your phone.
Yeah. So I went in there. And they lined up the picture, and she was like, "Okay, we just take the picture now." And so I went, and I pulled the face.
Yes.
And she just went, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa!" She said, "You can't. They're not going to accept that."
But that's how I smile.
But yeah. And I said to her, I said, "Well, here's the thing. In these times, in these more enlightened times of political correctness, are they going to send the picture back and say, we're not accepting this? You look gormless."
I know, but also,
That's very
if you
funny.
got pulled over, that's what you would look like.
No, but that's what I do. So basically, I pull up, and if they go, "Have you got your license?" and they look down at the picture, and then while they're looking at the picture, I go, "Bang," and then they look up, and they see my face. They go, "Oh, that's him."
Yeah. But it always confused me that driver's licenses, you're allowed to smile, passports, you're not. You're happy on holidays.
Yeah.
You're not happy when you're being pulled over the police. So they've got the faces wrong.
What does your passport? What's your passport photo look like?
Oh yeah, no, I've got my passport.
Serious.
My last passport photograph, I had shorter hair, so it was spiked up.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And I was slightly cross-eyed in that one. That's a good one, isn't it? That's another good one.
What is this, the library card?
That's my
This is
dive.
open water diving.
Paddy card.
This looks like the definition of the bends.
Yeah.
It's a cautionary tale.
Well, that's what I want, because the trouble is, though, is if you're coming up from the, that's why I need to learn to free dive, because if you're scubaing, then your eyes are all bulgy, when they pull you out the water, they go, hang on, is that him? Is that not him? So yeah, on my diving license.
A friend of mine got his Costco card, and I was there when he's getting his photo ID done, and I'm just in the background. I'm photobombed. So I'm always on his Costco card.
But that's why I learned to dive, so purely
to get another
photo.
So when I pull up at the booze bus and they say, "Can we see your driving license?" I'll go, "There you go," and then they go, "That's your diving." Let's go.
Sorry, I've got some water in my ear.
You know the Archibald Art Prize? Someone should do that off of your license photo. Ross Noble.
But you know why has nobody? Not just the picture, the Archibald. Why haven't they done it? The portrait and then the driving license as well.
Yes, it makes sense, doesn't it?
So you see the foot
in the whole lot
without your address.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to enter the Archibald.
Yes, it's a great idea,
and I'm going to do it. Actual size of the license has to be tiny, so the judges have to really get in.
They're going to be
Is that?
They will see that as a masterpiece.
That's actually,
you
will. Well, there was a whole series about
what he's done here.
I can't remember what period it was, but they're all done on cigar box lids.
Yes.
So they're all that tiny. Yeah, I think it was an Australian art movement. Yeah. So anyway, God, think about the things you've learnt today. Art, cuttlefish, and God, you're like reading a book.
Ross, how long are you sticking around for?
What now or in Perth?
No, now.
I can hang
It's got
around.
somewhere to go.
He's got somewhere to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all good.
Everyone's got somewhere to go, don't they?
It's just to another less important radio station.
Natalie! Natalie Locke. She said that, not me. I think it's very important. Show me, Matt.
But you know what? Ross. I insisted I came in here first.
That's the way it's done.
Yeah, that's right.
Ross Noble's show Cranium of Curiosities is happening until Feb 9 at Planet Royale. Check it out. It's always a wild ride. You could go every night and it'd be a different show, really, wouldn't it?
You could come every night and play the pinball machines.
Yes.
It's one of the most relaxed audiences I've ever had because you have to walk through an arcade.
Yes, to get into it. Yeah.
They've got good food there too.
Yeah, they do.
It's a cinema, comfy seats and air conditioning.
Yes, it is.
So even if you don't want to see the show,
come for the aircon.
It's been hot.
Exactly. Rossnoble.com is where you can go to get tickets and do it. It'll sell out pretty much, don't you?
Yeah.
You're very popular.
Get in quick because we've only got, I think, 6 shows left. So yeah.
And make sure that you let yourself be known to the people that are working there if you know anything about cuttlefish or free diving.
That's right.
Because it's pretty important right now. That's in Ross's cranium.
That is what's knocking around in there.
It's the Nathan, Nat and Shaun podcast.
I have never been to a Pilates class. There, I've said it.
Is that why you think there's a water feature?
I feel like this is it. Ready? There's a gong. There's like mats. There's wall to wall Lululemon.
There is wall to wall Lululemon. I can confirm.
Do you know what a reformer is?
A reformer.
Oh, it's a reformer. You know, Daddy's know it's going to play. A licky boom boom down.
So that's the equipment. So it's like this contraption with all
it's like a
sliding bits and pieces.
It's like a thing that looks like it does a pap smear and a brain scan at the same thing.
Pretty much.
That's all of it.
I got to say, when I started doing, I was going to have surgery on my hips. And when I started doing Pilates, this was like 4 or 5 years ago.
It really opened up your pelvic region.
Yes, and now his hips don't lie.
And hips don't lie.
Sometimes I have to say, sometimes your pelvic region is too open.
I've been told that
Megan said.
So I started clinical Pilates, and it saved me from my injuries. It's great for core strength, obviously, and all the glute work that you need to do to be able to keep yourself
paid
strong.
tribute to his Pilates instructor because it actually turned his body around enough to win a Brownlow.
Well,
It is picked up enormously, Nate. The amount of people doing it is huge.
Well, I just want to say I'm glad that you found your truth. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that you found something special that works for you, but you're upsetting a lot of people. And they're women. There is an American content creator.
That's nothing to do with Pilates, though.
She has come out and said that one particular man spoiled her hot yoga class recently by doing push-ups before the class started and making unnecessary noises. She told her, said her class was meant to be zen, quiet and peaceful.
So this is yoga, not Pilates,
and urged men to stop, Sean, this is you. Stop taking up more space than they already naturally do.
I know, but they're bigger fellas.
No. Why can't you be seen and not heard, she said. We all secretly hate you.
So she was doing hot yoga.
Yeah.
What was she saying? That he was grunting
doing push-ups. I think probably bringing a masculine energy into a somewhat calm space. She said, men do not belong in hot yoga. Or Pilates. They are as loud as F and never make the space feel safer. Another person said they always need to be heard. Another one said they also take up so much room, like move over, sir. Others said the trend of males coming up to Pilates and yoga classes drives them nuts and they can't even keep up.
They can't even keep it. Yeah.
There's this one.
A lot of men do struggle with Pilates. Because
I think the women are...
Because they think they're going to be strong because, they can lift heavy things, and then they get into Pilates and realise that Pilates actually works the deep muscles that the stabilising muscles and the postural muscles that they're not used to working, and they really struggle with it, right?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Nathan, when I was going to Pilates all the time, the people who'd put me through my paces would... they would take it to the next level all the time and see how much they could test me.
They would be pushing you,
And I would make a lot of noises, and more importantly, I would sweat like an absolute demon.
So this is to you. This is to you. Had to stop going to morning hot yoga because a guy was sweating on my mat, and that has never happened to me next to another girl.
You're not going hard enough, fast enough.
So, but also, can't they just move their mat slightly further apart?
Yeah, you can.
That's hot yoga. If you're not sweating,
might be packed.
What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So before I'd go, Megan, I went with Megan once, and then since that time, every time I'd go to Pilates, she'd go, "Could you just make sure you're not sweating?" I'm like,
yeah, it's not something.
Can you just stop making noises? Just make sure, Sean.
The noises you can control if you really concentrate, but sweating is an automatic thing.
You can't do anything better.
It's like, can you stop your skin being that colour right now? Be another colour. We can't control this.
But also the noises are like when the tennis players are grunting, right? You can't just tell them to stop. It's like it's inherent in the movement. Yeah. And it means that you're pushing yourself and you're trying really hard.
100%.
So why aren't the women
grunting?
Because
they're just naturally better at it.
Yeah, I know. So
because they just float around and they don't push themselves to the next level.
Oh, right. So they're just there to be seen.
I did a lot with 65-year-old women. No wonder I was dominating that class, or thought I was.
It's not meant to be competitive, you know that, right?
Nathan, Nat and Shaun podcast.
She's got a new show out called Madam. Rachel Griffiths, welcome.
Hi, lady.
Rachel.
Rachel, you know what? We're just talking about you because Sam here, who's doing our panelling this morning, he has never seen Muriel's wedding.
So he's
Sam,
young.
He's young.
Yeah. So Sam, you went to put in some audio. He found a scene. Play the scene that you found.
Do you ever dream about what you would say to them if you saw them now?
I do see them now. They're over there.
But then what happened? Rachel and Tony both went over there and just killed it in the US, and they were our most proudest ambassadors ever, and have stayed that way. So thanks, Rach. You did well over in the US.
Oh, I was very lucky girl to have that opportunity so early in my career that, got the chance to showcase the quirky little unit I am.
Hey, Rach, do you ever get, most people would start conversations with talking about Muriel's wedding in particular. Do you ever get over that and want to,
move on?
I've done other things.
No, can we just talk more about how brilliant I was in my first film and how I've never been better? I've never been better than my first film. How do you think that feels? Well, at least I'm not the kid in The Karate Kid that had to wait 50 years to get like another job and get his Oscar. But you have those moments, I love that film still lives in people's hearts, and I love that new generations are finding it. Like, that's the definition of a classic.
I wonder if he'll remember anything about this new show, because Madam is what we think it is. It's about the fact that your character's husband cheats. Well, is with a sex worker.
Yeah,
so you instead of dumping him or whatever, you decide to go into the game yourself and open a brothel.
I think Australian women are, on a world capita, one of the most energetic when it comes to starting small businesses. I think most small businesses in the country are started by women. And
on Etsy.
Why is that? Because we're looking for work that fits into our lives, where we can provide for our families, but dictate the terms. So you can be self-employed, but that usually means starting a business. And like most businesses, if you knew how hard it was going to be, you'd never start them. Even the most successful people say that. So, yeah, she's looking for a side hustle. She's had a few hustles that haven't really worked, and she sees a gap in the market for this kind of business, to be a bit more female-friendly, female-empowered, and ethical brothel. You could say a woke brothel.
A woke brothel.
A brothel with good, safety and HR and family leave.
Solar panels.
That women look for.
The old HR.
Clean towels. Amazing.
Lubricant, milk from trees. But we live next. One of the madams moved in next door to us. So we lived next door to one of the madams. And they were lovely. Yeah, they're really, really lovely girls.
Well, they're women
get with a job.
Living, and we've spent the last 50 years being incredibly unkind and disparaging of women on welfare or welfare moms or a whole trope. But if a woman is self-supporting and supporting her family in this business, historically it's been so frowned on. Someone actually told me that even if you apply to an adult bookshop and show Centrelink that you've been trying to get work, if it's anything to do with the sex industry, it's not counted. In somewhere like New Zealand, if you're on any kind of international visa, you cannot work in this industry. That's for very obvious reasons. Yeah, but you've got to protect against the trafficking and who's controlling stuff. So, in a legalised venue where nobody's hiding anything, I think that is, having, we've had our Me Too moment in my industry, and HR and reportables and safety is just, everyone deserves to be safe at work. So that's, and that's why I start this fabulous female-friendly brothel.
Oh, it's a great idea.
It's the Fernwood of sex.
Funny show.
Got her own frequent flyer program.
Exactly.
Ladies Club.
Rachel Griffiths.
Yeah, good
Thank
girl.
you so
Thanks,
much for
Rachel.
Thank you, guys. It was
You are a
the
living
#1
legend.
show in New Zealand last year. It was so funny. I'm just so excited that Nine are backing it and the Australian audiences get this.
Nathan, Nat and Shaun in podcast form.
Welcome back to the studio. Will Anderson. It's just great to have you back again.
Great to see you, Will.
You don't fly here frequently.
No, I don't, but it's nice to be in the studio. I appreciate it. I actually drove down this morning, which is bad news for me because I think that Mick is down taking money out of my car. Like he's taking money out of everybody's pockets.
I never get a hire car when I travel around Australia. I'll do it overseas in Australia. I got asked to, if I wanted to hire a car when I was doing all these Big Brother appearances back in the day for Queensland, and I wouldn't do it because I'm frightened of the tolls. I just didn't understand it.
So you're lucky here we don't have any. So it's not a problem.
Tolls.
Yeah, we don't. I don't know.
Well, I'm here for 2 weeks.
I used to throw the money in the bucket, and I was like, "What the hell?"
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. That's why I'm here.
When's the last time?
I know.
We don't ever have you in the studio.
Yeah, normally what happens with Eastern States comedians is they fly in maybe on a Thursday. They do Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night out.
Yes.
And you're here for 2 weeks.
What are you doing? Here for 2 weeks. I'm doing the Perth Fringe.
Yes.
So I'm doing my improvised show, what you're talking about, Will. And so it's a completely different show every night. And the thing about it is I talk to the crowd a lot.
Yes.
And so I've done it in really big rooms and it can be really fun, but there's a lot of repeating. So if somebody is talking to me, I need to repeat so people can hear.
Oh, right.
So I found that the perfect size of the rooms is somewhere between 150 and 300.
Yes.
Everyone can kind of hear and see what is going on so the shows really work. But that means I have to come for 2 weeks to make the money.
So how do you do a different show? Where do your thought starters come, or you've already written them down for different shows?
No. As in, like, it's all completely made up in the room. Like, so it all happens. It's with. So the whole idea of the room is these days everything is so shared. And you can watch everything everywhere, and you can't go to a comedy club without there being a camera in the room, even in this radio studio, right?
Look at these. Look how many cameras are.
Cameras everywhere.
There's probably more cameras in your radio studio now than there were in the Big Brother house.
As you look around, we'll get a camera shot from each one. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8.
Did you take in this one here, Nathan?
9 cam as well.
You know they used to make Seinfeld with 3. The entire series of the world's greatest sitcom was made with 3 cameras.
Yeah, but they were funny. We've got to overcompensate. Come on.
And so it is one of those things now where everything is being filmed, everything's for distribution.
Yes.
And I get that. That's fine. But what I really wanted to do was something that is just for the people who are there that night.
That's magical.
It is for nobody else. And so what I do, Sean, is then I take the ingredients that are in the room. It's like instead of going to the shops for ingredients, you just go to your cupboard and you say, what have I got in here tonight?
Great.
What can I make with what is in here tonight? So you start to get to know people. You talk to the crowd. You get the vibe, and then the show starts to develop as you do that. It's amazing. It's so fun.
The thing about it is some people don't know how interesting they are. When I first started here, I travelled around doing Wheelie Bin a Fortune, the game that Nova invented. And so I was on the back of a truck travelling around to people's houses. You'd spin a prize. You'd win. If you spun 3 bins, if you won a prize, it might be in one of the 3 bins. The other 3 bins had rubbish. And if they spun the rubbish, I'd dump the rubbish in the yard and leave. It was actually terrible. And then this girl was standing there and I said, do you have anything interesting about you? And she goes, no, not really. And then I said, do you want to take your sunglasses off for a photo? And she goes, I can't. And I said, why? And she goes, I don't have any irises. No, pupils. Which is the black bit? Pupil? Iris. Yeah. I don't have any irises. No colour around her eyes. So her pupils have no control about dilating sun. So, and I said, I've never, and so she took her glasses off and her eyes were just black. And I'd never seen that before, but she didn't think that wasn't anything interesting. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
People have the most amazing stories, but also I learn so much about the world. So just the other night in Sydney, I was doing the show and there was a guy in the front row. I asked him what he did for a living. He said, I'm a singer for classical music. I was like, I didn't even know classical music had singers. No. Like, to me, it's all instrumental.
Yeah, it's like orchestral.
Are you just up the back like, da 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 da.
Like unless it's opera.
But it turns out that so I said, would you be happy to sing something for us?
Yes.
And so suddenly in this show, he's singing something, and the best way I could describe it is it was so ethereal that it made you want to gather hobbits and go on a quest. And suddenly you're like, this is a comedy show, but in the middle of it, this just amazing moment is happening where everyone in the world, like the great thing about this show, I've been doing it in Sydney for about 12 years, and people come back all the time because it's different
every time.
And I love that, 12 years, and then it comes to Perth, that's about right.
I know, but like if the same people are coming back every time, then you've got the same ingredients.
Oh, after a while, this is literally true. In Sydney, this is the only, because people say, is it hard to do the show? The only time it's hard is if you look down the front row and you're like, I'll talk to
them
you.
again.
And I'll talk to you.
That guy wants to sing again.
You come up with the flavours for chips, and people think you're Santa Claus at Christmas, and you're going through. But the great thing about it is, because one of the things I love about comedy, and I've always loved about comedy, is this idea that there can be all these people who in the foyer would think they have nothing in common with each other.
Yes, that's right.
And then we gather them all in a room and we make a show together. That's the way I think about it. And then years later, you can come to me. You could come to me and say, of my touring usual show, and say, I came and saw your show, and I wouldn't be able to necessarily tell which night you came and saw the show. But with this show, I can just have, I literally had someone 2 weeks ago come and remind me of a show 5 years ago. He goes, I was at a show you did in like Brunswick Heads on the North Coast, and the people in the front row, they looked after Airbnbs, and you asked them what's the weirdest thing that they'd ever found in Airbnb, and they said just that week they'd had like a really large bottle of lube and a blindfold and a butt plug left there, and they didn't know whether to put the butt plug in the lost and found.
Yeah, do you keep it? Do you wash it? What happens?
I mean, of all play, if anything,
do you ring the people and say you left stuff behind?
Yeah.
It looks like a post for an old fence. Just a knob has broken off the top of our Don't answer.
Yeah, it's weird. We've got 3 contact names: Sean Combs, P Diddy, Puff Daddy. Which one is it?
Which one?
I love
so
improv.
good.
Improv stuff. I went to Amsterdam once, and there was an improv show, and went along to that.
Well, that is the thing you do in Amsterdam.
Yeah, so I
was laughing at all
girl,
kinds
and you had to walk in and take your clothes off.
What sort of improv show did you go to?
Yeah, when did you
I
get
went to
red
both.
light
Casablanca was the one with the pink elephant. That was improv.
Yeah, you know, red like gags.
But they asked for the audience to get involved by writing down something, and then they were able to act.
So
it
Sean
out
wrote his phone number. And
I wrote down, let's go and see what them Duke boys are up to off the Dukes of Hazzard. That was just the line. And then they read it out.
Solid topical material.
It was a good line at the time.
I watched that show and I can't remember that line.
What was the time? 1950?
It's pretty close.
They'd never use the doors. They'd always just get in the windows.
Yes.
Remember that?
Well, you
I
know
do.
that. Yeah.
And we used to try it as kids and you'd get screamed at.
The General Lee was the name of the car.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, this is
That's where shorts are called Daisy Dukes. That's where they came from.
Daisy Duke.
If you don't know what we're
Daisy
talking
Duke
about,
wore them.
we're talking about a show that's centered around 2 young guys that sort of live in American out the west.
In the South.
And they've got an orange Monaro, was it? With black,
It would have been
with
a
black
Camaro
racing.
probably, but yes, you're right.
And it had the Confederate flag on it. Like it's problematic.
that's
problematic in many ways.
Stand by today's standards. I reckon.
Hey, you love comedy. What do you think about America and Donald Trump being voted in again?
What?
This is my thing about it.
What a way to find out.
This is my thing about it.
Please, no spoilers. I've taped the whole election campaign. I got my fingers crossed. I really think Joe Biden's going to get in again.
So the thing about it is, with Donald, the thing that can be corrected with Donald is his skin colour because he's. I know it's weird.
Yep.
I don't know if you noticed, but it's a bit orange.
I like it.
You are the leader of the free world. Really, you're the leader of the free world.
Yes.
So we have Revlon, Maybelline. We've got. Can't he conscript all of these people? You the Olay people, Sean, the body shop people.
That's right.
Get together and go. Okay, let's work this problem out because it can be solved.
Yeah. Well,
Or do you think he leans into it now?
Well, the problem is that we don't know what's under the orange.
No, it's a great point.
Yeah, but
Like,
what if he's like
it doesn't
mauve
have
or
to be
something?
orange.
Yeah, what if he's wearing blackface and he's covered with orange and he's actually like a human Jaffa? What about that? Have we considered
Every
that?
day.
Things
So
we
he's like-
haven't considered.
He's like a 100-year-old face that's been painted again and again and again.
Farewell, Will Anderson.
We've had a good day,
We
haven't
did kind of farewell you already, but then we're like, no, stick around
Now,
because we like talking to you.
was going to promise
I've got
to...
my backpack on.
Yeah, I know.
He really
I
wants
almost made it out of the studio.
What's in your backpack?
What's in my backpack? Is that what we're doing?
Have a
now?
look. Yeah, no,
why
I
not?
just want to see
All right.
because
What have we got?
I'm happy to show you what's in my backpack.
here we
because
go.
there's
Normally
one-
we got you on Skype and we're seeing what's in the background.
That's true.
Yeah,
you
it's
do
real
actually
clever.
like to have a look at that. So I've got my headphones. I think
it's real
Yeah, lovely.
Headphones are in there.
Oh,
So
show me
I've
these.
got my
These are
radio
the,
guy.
are these Sony? What are these?
No, they're like those Apple ones. that
Oh,
are
I don't
coming
like them.
around.
because
Okay.
I
Oh,
Onyx Storm, you've been on
Okay,
Book
well,
Talk.
that's fine. I've got that. They're in there. Now,
That's a very fashionable book
what I
with
have
the
here.
kids.
So this is like the new sort of
Book Talk.
Hunger Games
Yes.
type
Is it?
book. It's
Yes.
not Hunger Games. It's a dragon book for teenagers,
Yes,
basically.
so
And-
TikTok has
Yeah, I
made this
know.
book
Yes.
a
Yep,
massive hit.
It's the biggest hit. It just sold at Christmas 5 times what
Yes.
the final Hunger Games book
Yeah.
sold.
It's very thick, everyone. The movie will be coming soon, I'm guessing.
I started, so this is the third in the series.
Yes.
It is.
I started reading the first one because my 14-year-old niece was reading it.
Great.
And I thought, well, that'll be nice. Something fun that the
That you
two
can
of
talk
us
about.
can
Yeah.
be reading together. And that was very fun until, don't look at the little notes that are in my book.
Nathan's losing his mind.
Nathan's just found a
If it's private, I'm not saying it.
private note in my
But
book.
wow, what a great post-it note I just got. Who was it from? And I'll never tell anyone because I've got integrity.
Nathan, he zipped his bag up pretty quickly after that.
And he's out the door.
You know what the thing is? There are a couple of little notes in the books that have been left in there, and I'm glad that's the one you found. That one.
Well, where are the dick pics?
Yeah, that one was a little PG. Where some of the
That's
others are
nice.
maybe-
That's a nice.
Well, you're clearly enjoying it, eh? The series.
So, well,
what? The
here's-
post-it, yes.
So here's the thing, Sean. So it's mostly sort of like for teenage girls.
Yes.
This
That's
book.
my wheelhouse.
And the reason that I was reading it was because my teenage niece was into it, thought this is a good bonding moment between the two of us.
Yeah.
Until I got to this new thing that is apparently in these style of books, which is the 10 pages of hardcore pornography that they just describe. I was like,
they describe the penis?
They just,
everything
they don't use the P word. There's a hard C in what they describe that. And I was like, this should be a sealed section. I don't want to know that my 14-year-old niece and I are reading the same thing.
They should be behind a curtain
somewhere. Who do you think gets more freaked out? You knowing she's read it or her knowing you've read it? Do you know what I mean? It's like watching sex scenes with your parents on TV. It's awful.
You know when you have a flashback to a conversation you've had with someone and it has a whole new context?
Yes.
Because she had read further ahead than I had when we were talking about it at Christmas. And
some of the stuff she was saying.
I'm really enjoying the book. Are you enjoying the book? And she says, it gets a bit romantic.
And you're like, looking forward to it.
And you're like, that's not romantic.
I think you need to tell her what romance is and what romance isn't, just so she's not confused.
Wow, what an eye-opener.
Shouldn't do that.
For everybody, apparently.
Is it good?
Yeah, I am enjoying it, though. Okay. Yeah, it's
especially the sex scene. Thank you, Will.
Thanks so much, Will.
We'll be putting up on Instagram later on exactly where Will's staying in case you want to pop by and say hello. Sam, follow him.
Nathan, Nat and Shaun is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcasts.com.au. Nova.